What will you never forgive your parents for? Grandmother Ann died the summer I turned 20, and my parents sat me down 3 days after the funeral to explain that she'd left everything to Mara. The house in Greendale, the savings from 41 years of teaching music, the jewelry collection she'd started the year Kennedy was shot. All of it bypassing me completely. Grandmother had been deeply disappointed in my choices, they said. The pre-med major I dropped sophomore year, my boyfriend Donald, who she'd met once at Easter, the Christmas I'd spent with his family in Michigan instead of driving to see her. I tried to argue. Grandmother had never said anything about being disappointed. She'd hugged me at Easter, told me Donald seemed like a good one, asked when I'd bring him back. But my mother shook her head slowly, the way she did when I was being naive, and said grandmother had been too kind to tell me the truth to my face. The will specifically requested I not attend the reading. She hadn't wanted a scene. I spent months replaying every interaction, searching for signs I'd missed. The summer I was 14, grandmother taught me to make her mother's pierogi recipe, and we'd stood at the counter for 6 hours while she corrected my folding technique without once losing patience. She'd written in my birthday card that year that I had her hands. Piano hands, she called them, even though I'd quit lessons at 12. Was she already disappointed then? Had I failed her even earlier than I'd thought? The letters she'd sent me in college sat in a shoebox under my bed. I read them again after she died, looking for coldness I might have missed. You're doing exactly what I hoped you would, she'd written my freshman year. Getting out, seeing what else exists. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for wanting more than this town can offer. I'd stopped answering those letters junior year because I was busy with exams and Donald and the life I was building. Maybe that's when she'd given up on me. Mara tried to split the inheritance anyway. She wrote me a check for $87,000 and said grandmother would have wanted it regardless of what the documents said. Our parents told her she was disrespecting grandmother's wishes, that the will existed for a reason, that some lessons needed to stick. Mara gave me the money anyway because she'd always been stubborn about fairness, and I used it to finish my nursing degree while trying to forgive myself for whatever I'd done wrong. My parents had always been closer with Mara, but I'd assumed that was just personality. She was easier, more agreeable, less likely to argue at dinner. After grandmother died, I started noticing patterns I'd ignored before. Mara's credit card bills disappeared every month. Mine had accumulated since I was 19. When Mara bought her first car, our father flew out to help her negotiate with the dealer. When I bought mine, he texted me a link to a Consumer Reports article. When Mara got engaged to Ron, our mother hosted a party with 40 guests and a catered dinner. When I married Donald, they attended for 2 hours and left before cake. I told myself these were small things. I told myself I was being sensitive, that keeping score was petty, that love didn't have to look the same for every child. When I got pregnant with Andrew, my mother visited once, brought a onesie 2 sizes too small, and left after 40 minutes. When he was born, my father sent a card with just the printed Hallmark text, no signature. I'd expected this by then, so it hurt less than it should have. Donald asked me once why I never confronted them, and I didn't have a good answer. Part of me believed I deserved the distance. Grandmother had seen something in me worth rejecting, and maybe my parents saw it too, some fundamental flaw I couldn't identify, but everyone else recognized. I stopped calling home except on holidays. I raised Andrew with Donald's family, filling the spaces my own family left empty. I made peace with being the daughter who disappointed everyone. Mara called me on a Wednesday last October, crying so hard I could barely understand her. She and Ron were divorcing and she'd been cleaning out their storage unit, opening boxes from grandmother's house she'd never gone through because it had felt too painful. She'd found grandmother's papers, drafts of the will, letters to her lawyer, bank statements, records grandmother had kept of everything. I asked what they said. Mara was quiet for a long time, and when she finally spoke, her voice was flat in a way I'd never heard from her before. She said the original will left 70% to me, because grandmother knew our parents would never provide for me equally. Our parents had paid the estate lawyer $18,000 to forge a new version 6 days after she died. They'd been collecting rent from grandmother's house for 8 years and sending the money directly to Mara's accounts. They stole my inheritance to keep giving it to my sister, and they let me spend 6 years believing I'd been unloved.